G'day fellas, and welcome to another Beyond All Reason guide. We're putting this guide out because the Commander has been nerfed. Not only the Commander, but backliners in particular have been massively nerfed by the most recent changes to the Commander. Now you might be wondering, what changes am I talking about? Well, if we take a look up here in this top right hand corner, changes, you'll see that now the Commander is immune to the D-Gun, health has been increased, and the wreckage metal, most importantly, has been reduced from 2,000 down to 1250. So that's quite a significant amount. So we're going to be talking about how you go about building your base as a backliner and the build order that you're going to go through now that this change has happened. The bad news is it affects our timing. The good news is not a lot. We've had to change the way that we do things, so let's get into it. First and foremost, open up with 3 mechs as always. It's going to be the safest option for you. You'll always do a little bit of walking, and even if you don't, well, it's still just going to be more important to get that metal extractor out as quickly as you damn can. I guess there could be arguments that if you spawn over in a spot like this where your metals are very close to each other, that you could probably throw down the solar before the 3rd mechs. But in this spot, in the one next to it, you'd typically always want to open with the 3 mechs. Follow it up with the 2 solar collectors. Now, one of the changes in this build order is we're actually going to be reclaiming these solar collectors. In the previous ones, we actually kept them for the majority of the time that we were up, but we're going to be reclaiming them quite early here, just simply because we need to find that lost metal that we've got. Now, we've got a little bit of inspiration here from MBT. Obviously, you guys would have seen the video that I did recently, just talking about his game, which he played, and we took inspiration from that, and we're going to be utilizing a very similar opening to what he was, so all credit goes over to him. So, starting off our first construction bot, we're going to power it out. Now, one of the things to note is, I'm going to just pause the game here. We always want to power out our construction bots as much as we can. There's no general rules about it. You just kind of got to go on feeling. You got to feel it. You got to go on the vibe of it. But essentially, some rules that I go by is if I've got 2 wind generators and my wind is max, so sitting on 16. And by the way, I probably will just state for the record, this is an all that glitters guide. I'll be doing a separate guide for Supreme Straight for you backliners out there, because I know that there are a lot of aspiring backliners, but this is for all that glitters. The build orders are quite different. So let's get back into it. And just making sure, so we want to push the first 2 cons out. We don't care about the 3rd con, because we are going to be making 3 cons and a Lazarus. We don't care about the speed of those ones. Mainly, we just care about the first 2, because these ones are going to be getting our metal extractors up as quickly as possible. So it's really important that we try and get them out. And you can see that we will stall energy trying to get them out, and that is 100% worth it to do it, because the sooner that they get out there, the sooner they start building those mexes. So the first one's out, it's gone out, made the metal extractor, come back home. So one of the things I always do is I like to measure exactly where I'm going to start placing down my nanos and just make sure I can hit all 3 of my starting metal extractors. For this guy, he's gone and done 2 mexes and then followed up with 8 wind gens. Now, back with the Commander, so he's looking, at this point, one of the things you will notice is the Commander hasn't moved. Once he put down that 3rd metal extractor, he doesn't move. He just chills out. Now, the way that you do that is, I'll try and see it if I can do it in the pause menu here. So there's nothing that really indicates it, and I've actually asked the devs whether they can, or whether we could get a widget for it. So there is a build radius on the Commander, and the way that it works is that there is a very faint green circle around your Commander. So you can see it right here. I'll do my best to outline it with the edge of the metal storage, so you can see just on that little bottom side. So basically, anything that is inside this green circle, the Commander doesn't have to move to do it. However, even if it is inside the green circle, the Commander still might need to move it if the center of the object isn't in the green circle. So we always try and build it within the green circle. Now, when you start off the game, you will see that green circle very clearly, but in situations like this where you have to move, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But anyway, that's something to look out for. So when you're placing down these wind turbines, always be looking to try and place them within the green circle. And don't worry too much about boxing yourself in, because we will also be reclaiming our bot lab with our Commander quite early, which is an interesting thing. I've never really had to do that before, but I'll explain more about it as we get further on. So we throw down an energy converter. Once again, this is another thing that you'll just do wind permitting, right? Like, you don't want to be helping out your construction turret. You've got the 2 construction bots on it. You just want to be keeping that Commander still. And essentially what we're looking for is we're going up to 2 solar collectors, 14 wind turbines, and 4 energy converters in the early game. Ideally, you want to get your wins out as quickly as possible, but at the same time, you don't want to get excess energy. And you can see here we've got an excess of 13, which is just kind of where you go through, and it looks like we're probably going to start having that excess now, but we can't really do anything about it because we're kind of stuck right now. We don't have anywhere else to build with our commander. If we take a look here, I could probably have got something down over here, but it's just not worth it. We just want to get out. So as long as you're doing everything correct in the early game, you should be able to meet all of these timings. Once we've reclaimed the bot lab, we're going to be throwing down our energy storage. Technically, I think we probably could have thrown it down before the bot lab, but it makes sense just to do it this way. That way you guarantee that you're not going to stall, which is the biggest fear of any min-maxer is stalling. We don't want to stall build power or build powder for that much, or for that matter. So with the other two construction bots, so we had a total of 3. I should probably get back to it. So we had the first one that came out, built the mechs, built the nano. Second one came out, built 2 mexes, built the 8 wind gens. And then the third one that came out helped with the construction turret and built 8 wind turbines. The first one, after it built the construction turret, also built 8 turbines. Now, we're not going to build all 8 of those turbines. We're going to be going up to 31 turbines. We had to cut 4 turbines off because we didn't have the metal to do it otherwise. Now, another thing to note is that we are playing with rocks, but only a small amount. So we're just taking these back ones, and these ones, and then we're bringing back our Lazarus. So we're not going too crazy on the rocks, grabbing all these ones, going out down the front. There's plenty of rocks out here, but ideally draw a line around your base and just say my rocks, something like that. Makes it a little bit easier. So we're just going to pause it right now because this is where it really comes down to managing your economy. So we can see that I've got I've got 30 wind gens at the moment. So we're about to take the foot off the pedal on the win. And that's really important. We don't want to go more than what we need, simply because it's metal that we're investing, even though it's like, 37 metal or something silly. It makes all the difference. Yeah, 37 metal. So we're getting to the point where we need to kill our commander. So we're going to get our construction bot over, and it's important that we start using the metal that we've got stacked up here. So we're going to get the construction turret on it as well, and that's going to be our 31 wind turbines. And you can see we've got our 4 energy converters, and our commander's going to go boom boom in the corner. And ideally, we don't even want to idle on our metal. You can see that we're making sure that we are blowing ourselves up, and we're running straight in with the Lazarus and looking to pick up that metal. And ideally, you shouldn't ever reach the cap here either, as long as you bring those 3 construction turrets back. So you can see we're at 4 minutes 30 now, and we've got our 31 turbines up. We've got our 4 energy converters, and we're on the way to the bot lab. So this is where it gets fun, as always. I mean, we're always getting fun here. At this point, we have a very specific thing that we need to do. So we need to throw down a metal storage with 1 construction bot, just 1. Don't do it with 2, don't do it with 3, don't do it with the construction turret, because you will stall on your metal. And it's just you need to think about it right. Like your build power can either be reclaiming or it can be building, and we want to maximize the time that that the uptime is there. So we want to make sure that we're not building something with excess build power. We want to make sure we're using the correct amount, and that's what we're doing here. So basically, what we're going to be doing is immediately looking to reclaim. So we move these guys and then reclaim this bot, the bot lab. We start an advanced construction bot, and we also start reclaiming our solar collectors with our nano. Lazarus is going to come back and going to start doing the same, and you can see we are barely stalling out on that metal. There you go. And now what we're going to do is, once we've done this, is we're going to turn all of these guys, and these guys are all going to start start reclaiming from the bot lab. And you can see how much this time's up. You've got 10 seconds on the metal storage. You've got 9 seconds left on the advanced construction bot. And let me tell you how many seconds you've got on the advanced bot lab, because, well, let's just put it this way. It's not a lot. Anyway, he's going to come out. We're going to turn around and we're going to start sucking this bad boy out, and we're going to immediately throw down 3 nanos. We're not going to put down our advanced metal extractor yet, because we need to utilize all the build power that we've got to get these nanos up as quickly as we possibly can. So he's going to help out doing that. You can see we've got lots of metal in the bank, but the sooner we get the nanos up, the more build power we have more quickly. And you can see we're slowly moving the old man down towards this bottom side, just making sure all 4 of our nanos are touching. You can see they're all inside. All the mexes are all inside. So of course we hit the blueprint and we immediately get on the move towards our second metal extractor. We're looking to try and time this so that once this one finishes, then all of a sudden There we go. It's about as good as you can get. I mean, I probably could have put this old man down here a little bit further and you know, got a second out of it or something like that, but it doesn't really make a big difference. And now we throw down our third one and move our construction bots towards the top side there, because they're not going to be able to have time to come around here and then come around to there. So we just do it that way. Old man's going to help out for a little bit with the advanced metal extractor, and then going to be throwing down a fusion. We want to make sure that we always throw down our fusion in range of our construction turrets. And if you don't know how to find the range of the construction turrets, I wish there was an option to have this always on. I'd really like it, but I'm sure it would cloud your game. If you just build a construction turret, V and then A, and then it will come up like that. So anyway, we're now reclaiming our metal storage and then moving on to our fourth metal extractor. And this is where it starts to get a little bit dicey, so you're going to have to pay attention. Metal becomes an issue as well as energy. You can see if we stall out any energy whatsoever, we're not having a good day. It is going to delay us a massive amount. Even just going down to like 12, 11 energy, it really hurts. And I know that seems crazy, but the reality is I tried to put in a second energy storage and I just can't find the metal. I was literally leaning towards, okay, I need to get rid of a construction bot. But the problem is you need them for build power. So once we finished out our fourth metal extractor, everybody's going to come back in, going to come over and help the fusion. It's quite natural that you will stall energy at this time, but it is just the reality of it. And the problem is you can't make more wind gens, because if you do, you will stall out somewhere else and in the build. And this is essentially the fastest way I could find to possibly get it. So once we finish our fusion, the old man is going to start moving down south. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking to throw down as many. We're going to throw down 13 of our basic. We just want the basic metal converters, or the energy converters. So we're up at 8 minutes 11, so not a bad timing here, 8 minutes 11 for our fusion, and we're throwing down all of these basic energy converters, and the old man is going down to the advanced metal extractor. Now, he will be coming back. He wants to put about 10% on that bad boy, and then he's going to come back up. 10% should give it enough time. Now, remember that even though it will lose percentages, as he's not working on it, you'll be fed back that metal into your stockpile. So the idea is that this guy's going to go down and hold onto it. And so now that we've got that blueprint down here, the old man's come back up, and we're going to be putting down our APHIS. And we're always making sure that we line up our APHIS with our construction turrets. We always want to be building in a 4x4 grid. And so you can see 4 nanos here, or 16 nanos takes up the same space as 4 advanced fusion and 9 advanced energy converters. So now that we've got the APHIS blueprint back up, he's heading out down to the advanced metal extractor. He's going to go do that. Meanwhile, the construction bot, he's going to go up to 10 nanos up here. Now, we want to get these nanos down as quickly as possible. Don't forget to get your nanos down. And of course, as soon as the APHIS begins, we're straight away with the Lazarus coming in and looking to reclaim all of our wind turbines. Very, very important. After the 10th nano has been put down, we're going to be moving our construction bot down to help out with the advanced construction bot on the advanced metal extractor. Now, one thing to note, as I mentioned in one of the last videos, I actually did the math on the 6th advanced metal extractor. It's technically not worth it before the first APHIS, but it does come online after the second one. So basically, there's 5.5 metal difference between these two, so 7.3 and 1.8, 5.5. The total cost is 620, which means that after 112 seconds, it becomes more efficient to have had this metal extractor. The problem is you're going to have your advanced metal extractor online. You can see right here, it's about 30 seconds from now, and your APHIS will be up before that 112 seconds. It will be up at about 90 seconds. So essentially, it's technically not worth it to do it this way for the first APHIS, but for the second, for the third, it does definitely become worth it, because it's basically, it's a free advanced energy converter, almost a free advanced energy converter. I mean, not really, it's like half an advanced energy converter, but it's for free. So it is definitely worth it in the long run. So now the next thing that we're doing is we're picking off all of our wind turbines that we don't need anymore. And that's part of the reason why we overbuilt the nanos, because you can just go with 8 nanos and you can be riding it out the whole time. But this is metal right here that you could be looking to use, because at the end of the day, these wind turbines were a means for you to get to fusion. Once you've got to fusion, then that's it. There's no more need for them anymore. So everybody comes back. We've now finished our advanced metal extractor, and we're now back in the base, and everybody's going to help out, and we're going to put the old man in position to throw down our first energy converters. And it's really important that when we do this, that we put them in that grid. So as you can see right here, let me pull it up. So if you've got a grid like that, that grid is the exact same size as 16 nanos, and it's also the same size as 4 fusion advanced fusion power plants. So we always want to be doing our grids like that. So you can see here's me pre-planning. Now, one of the other things to note is it's going to get very micro-intensive as soon as this APHIS is finished. We're going to be going up to a ridiculous amount of nanos, and it might seem stupid, but I promise you there is a reason why we do it. My general rule is for every fusion that you have, you want to add 10 nanos, at least at the early stages. So up to like 5 APHIS, you want to have 50 nanos, that sort of thing. But we're going to be front-loading a whole bunch of them simply because we need to be reclaiming our fusion. And we want to be reinvesting all of that metal straight back in as quickly as we possibly can. So here's what happens. We start throwing down our energy converters. Now, this is going to take a lot of time for our energy converters to come in. You can see it takes about 15 seconds here for each energy converter. But what you can do is you can shave off a huge amount of time if you just throw your nanos down first. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to throw down our nanos, but we're going to wait until we've got enough resources to do it. Ideally, you want to wait until you're about 200 metal, 300 metal around that time, and then throw it down, because the worst thing you want to be doing is stalling metal right now when you've got a great avenue to find it. And it might seem counterintuitive to be building nanos here rather than to be building the advanced energy converters, but it actually gets them all down faster by getting them out first. So we go up to 16 nanos, and then we're going to drop down our energy converters. We're going to move the old man back over to this side. And you can see behind this, our Lazarus, after getting all of the wind gen, is now going to be going after all of the tier 1 metal makers. And we're just being very, very careful here, just making sure that we don't build any nanos while we're finishing these off, because we go up to 16 here. I mean, technically, you could probably go up even higher at this stage, but I found 16 seems to work really well. And now, once our last advanced energy converter is online, we're going to throw down the APHIS, but we're also going to throw down more nanos. That's correct. So going up to, if I remember correctly, I think we got up to 30 nanos. So 30 nanos might seem like a lot. There's no way that we can support it with the metal that we've got. But remember, about half of them will just be reclaiming this fusion the entire time. So we're just looking to pump out these nanos as quickly as we possibly can, just because we need all that build power and to sink all of the metal in. Because right now, if they all just started building, you can see that we're so quickly just going to be engulfed in not enough metal. But in this situation, we should be absolutely fine. So we're up to 27 at the moment. We're going to add our 28th in, and then our 29th. I think we might actually stop at 29, but I think technically we should be going up to 30 here, because I've got obsessive compulsive disorder, and I would hate to have a prime number like 29 be a number that I would ever refer to in a build order. So you can see that we're as soon as we start stalling on metal, we just immediately turn around, and we're also going to throw down a metal storage at the same time. Metal storage is going to give us the space that we need, because this is 4,300 metal, and we can only hold 4,100, so we need that extra 200, and there it goes. So we're up now to max, and everybody turns around, and you can see that you technically you could probably make more nanos, but the problem that you're going to have is that you will bottom out on the 3rd nano. So essentially, this becomes like the sweet point where you're not overmaking nanos for your 3rd fusion. And I know that this is getting crazy because we're talking backline stuff, and I'm sure all the frontliners are like pulling their hair out, like, "Can I get some help on that front, please? Excuse me, they're a T2." It's all right, calm down. I'll be online in 20 minutes. I'm just kidding. Poor frontliners, dude. You got to feel for them. Where's my music, by the way? Can I get some music in here? There we go. All right, so once again, we're going up to a total of, so we're making 5 early, 5 late, and you'll be doing these in your team games. As we saw in the MBT game, you want to overmake your advanced energy converters, because your teammates will be slipping you some energy on those dearer times. Now, one of the things to note is we're not adding any nanos at this point. So because, as I mentioned, we front-loaded all of our nanos, so we're up to 29 nanos, but now we're utilizing those to build our 3rd APHIS, and that brings that 3rd APHIS online really, really fast. Of course, using the Lazarus here to suck up the metal storage. We don't need that anymore. And now we start looking for other metal. Where is some metal that I can find here that I don't need at this point in the game? I'm looking at you, construction bots. I'm looking at you, Lazarus, and that's exactly it. It might seem very painful, but unfortunately, the reality is that our little Lazarus is just no longer destined for this world. He's done his job, and he's done a great job, but unfortunately, sir, it's time for you to go. Same with you, construction bots. 2 of them will go the way of the dodo. 1 of them will live on in their memories. And of course, we always keep the advanced construction bot. Now, I guess the other thing to note is that there will always be a time for air. When it comes to air, I would recommend probably around this time is a good time to move into construction aircraft. The problem that you're going to have is it is quite a metal sink, but it's a first world problem. You're going to have so much metal, you're not going to know what to do with it. So it's quite important that you rebuild that metal storage, because I find that I flood metal very quickly. If I'm not paying attention, even for like 5 seconds, bam, that's it. You hit your excess. Bad luck, kid. So yeah, that's essentially it. So we wait for our energy converters to come down. We obviously put the fusion online, but now we throw down our nanos. And we're going to once again add an additional 10. So we want to make those 10 at the beginning of our APHIS. So now we're up to 34, and we're going to continue rising. And once again, so I make it in 4x4 blocks. I mean, realistically, you can make your bases however you like. I'm not going to... obviously, we saw MBT, the way he played. He just made a giant line of 4x4s. I think they were four wide nanos. But yeah, we're up to 40 nanos now. And so these guys are just sinking all their build power into the APHIS. And you can see that we're about 90, 80 over the top on metal, but I still think this is absolutely fine to be over this much, because you will find that a lot of this is going to be front loaded on your next APHIS. So when the next APHIS comes up, you are going to have enough build power enough build power to justify that. And then, of course, just going back and adding in our advanced energy converters, and we just keep doing this until you decide that it's time for air. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do air. Like, you can just go for 5 basic construction aircraft, and then get a... they used to be called Atlases in the day. I don't know what they're called now, but they allow you to move your units. So basically, you can pick up your fat man or your old man and move him around, because that's the biggest limiter you're going to have, is your old man is going to be moving around to too many different spots, and you'll find it difficult to build a base. Like, for me, this is a very well-built base, and I can't really find a way to improve this. And even then, I struggle getting my old man into the right position. So that's something to be very, very aware of. And you can see that we are going to be throwing down some additional nanos. We're going to go up to 50 nanos once again, and adding them in, and just making sure that we've got that 4x4 block. So we always just want to go down and making sure that we've got that. And so up to 50 nanos, and then the old man's going to be moving into position once again. And at this point, this is where I throw down the metal storage, because I'm like, this is too far for the old man to walk. He's going to have to walk over and throw down an APHIS over here. It's too far. I know I'm going to be idling here. So we throw this down, and I'm getting like a little bit of a head start on it, just throwing these down, turn them around individually, just because they're all helping out the APHIS. But you can see the APHIS is already finished, and it's like, it's already too late, old man. You're going to idle. You got 120 metal per second coming in right now, and that's... It's a lot to manage at this point for an old stud like this guy. So, I mean, from this point, that's pretty much it. I would assume in the games that you're playing that you've probably taken your foot off the pedal by now. What does that mean? That means that you've gone into perhaps some aircraft. Maybe you've gone into a gantry. I don't know if you heard that right there, but that's a little man who's chilling out next to me, and he's wanting to he's wanting to play that. For anybody wondering, that's my son. He's having a good time down there. He's trying to get my headset cord. Let me fix that up. Okay, so anyway, so adding in once again another 10 nanos here, but you can see that we are barely spending the metal that we've got, and our APHIS is almost complete, and we're going to have to throw down more, and that's just naturally going to result in us having so much excess metal, because we've only got one old man, and unfortunately at this point, you try and keep up with it, but even with, you know, the reality is you just can't do it. You just can't do it, and right now you can see that we are approaching that excess very, very quickly, and that's essentially it. So we're at 20 minutes now. We'll pause the game before I start floating metal and just go over what we've got. So that's 6 APHIS by 20 minutes. Not a bad little timing there. 27 of our advanced energy converters on the way, and we've got 60 nanos or 61 nanos, soon to be 70 nanos on the way, and of course a shitload of metal in the bank. So that's essentially it. If you've got any questions, leave them down in the comments. Don't try this at home. I guess if you are playing Backline, please remember to make units eventually. We don't want to be scaling to a million APHIS, even though I know it's beautiful, but we can't do it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.